Much to do.
Mhm.
I would like to start by saying this is last week today for May 10th, 2021. My name is Chuck Black. I'm with Al Calder. Al's got a big microphone right beside him today. Good afternoon, Al.
Pleased to meet you, Chuck. It's an Allen one mic. Let's do it. Yeah, it's a new
uh,
setup. There's a lot of. I'm hoping that it sounds better.
I think you sound fine. I think it's worthwhile that we are covering the top stories on Freedom Forum News
Mhm.
for the previous week. And with that said and done, I am going to share the screen,
Uh-huh.
pull up our fancy schmancy new graphics,
That's
and
true.
and I'm going to ask you, what do you think is the biggest, fanciest story of the week? We've got a number to go on.
I'll
Uh,
say Arthur Pawlowski, the man of God who gets arrested in holding a service then, right out of the
that's
church. That's a big story.
Calgary street preacher Arthur Pawlowski
Mhm.
arrested and charged after defying public health orders by going to church. What I especially like is that people in his car actually took pictures of him being dragged out of his car and into the police vehicle. Him and his brother have been charged with organizing an illegal in person gathering, a church sermon. In
Oh my God.
addition, yeah, he also requested inciting or invited others to join them. He said, "Come to church. I'm doing a pretty good sermon today."
Yeah, you know what though, Chuck? I don't understand how this can keep going on then, and the people in churches are doing a really decent job of sticking to their guns a lot more than some people are, for real.
I would agree.
Look at him. He's willing to put himself on the line here for that.
I,
Like, if only businesses would do this, they'd all be open.
I would tend to agree. Pastor Pulowski isn't the only one who's been arrested by police. Pastor James Coates, also in Alberta, spent
Mhm.
34, 35 days in jail
Yeah.
a month and a half ago. His trial is ongoing. He is not allowed to question the constitutionality of the edicts he is
Mhm.
supposedly operating under. That's another trial in the foreseeable future.
Sort of. What by foreseeable future do you mean, Chuck? 2 or 3 years around? By the time this COVID thing is proven to be what the truth of it is then?
That is sort of what I think. I think the
I assume
government
that.
keeps punting these things down the
Yeah.
road because if one court case actually gets a judgment, uh, the general consensus now is that these health edicts, these health regulations, will not stand up to a court of law.
Hey, Chuck, maybe yours truly will be the one who breaks down the barrier.
Absolutely, you are going to contest your fine for $500 for crossing the border last week and doing journalism.
Mhm.
And as well, you should. You will have the help of everybody I know at the very least.
Well, Chuck, do you know when we spoke to the lawyer, right? Do you remember
Yes,
that? What did she
yes.
say how much it was going to cost? Do you recall?
Uh, she didn't give a hard number. I
Yeah,
got the
well, she
impression
hard enough
tens
for
of
myself.
thousands.
No, she
What'd she
said
say?
multiple hundreds of thousands is what she said.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's a
got
hard
that.
number, Chuck. Like that's why this will be a big deal. The reason why it will cost so much is that it is a big deal.
That is an obvious barrier to justice being served.
Absolutely.
They say there is a justice system in the country, but right now it's not a justice system that the middle class or the poor people have any access to.
Now, when I was in law school, like the access to justice issue was a big deal. Like everybody could tell that there was no access to justice. I had a law professor for torts who the people that you torting mean someone harms you, you sue them. It's called
Yes.
tortious act. Now, my professor was saying she used to be a big time Bay Street lawyer, and she's saying I couldn't afford my services. Like, and
No,
I,
no, I agree. I agree 100%. So there's no justice being done here. We have religious leaders being dragged off in handcuffs. Trinity Bible Chapel in St. Jacobs, Ontario, shuttered for an indeterminate period of time for the same reasons. It to me, it's pretty frightening. Rebel News has been covering the situation really well. They did a nice story on an interview with the pastor just before he went into prison, and they also announced, uh, just as we were going on the air to record this at 7 p.m. Eastern time on May 10th, uh, Rebel News is announcing that the pastor is being released. No idea of any restrictions he's operating under, or anything else, but the idea that he'll be out of jail by sundown, uh, I find appealing, although he should never have been in jail in the first place.
Yeah,
It's
that might be
bad enough now.
the silver lining on a dark cloud, though, Chuck. Like that, this is garbage.
Absolutely,
This is a
100%.
petrifying story.
Uh, Absolutely.
Like how they keep getting away with it. I hate to be an activist often, then, but I just it's just ridiculous. I cannot get it. How are they getting away with it? Why is no one stopping them?
I don't know. I think Alberta is a very weird place right now. Almost a week ago, they suspended their spring legislature sitting, but then they've been issuing new COVID edicts, kind of on a hit and miss basis. Nobody knows what's going to happen over the next little while. But the government's not sitting, so there's not even a pretense of responsible government going on there right now.
Well,
I find that most offending.
did anyone put their democracy perfume on when they closed the door?
Yeah.
Like what kind of garbage system do we have? It's coming apart at the this at the seams here. This is a bad sign.
Yeah. Nobody wants to take responsibility for what's going on. I think the most popular politician in Canada right now would be the first politician to say, we were a little overreacting about the COVID. I'm going to resign. I don't think I did a very good job. I think you guys should get back in Parliament and come up with some real rules and regulations, or even better, maybe go back to work.
Well, Chuck, that's very sweet of you to think then. But what really happens then when they stand up and say this is bullshit? Let's say they're conservative caucus. What happens then?
Well, mostly they're not going to do that.
Well, they do. Then they get thrown out of it. Is what happens.
Yeah, yeah. If the whole caucus did it, they
No,
couldn't all be thrown out. But they're doing it one or two at a time.
I agree, but you're saying that I'm not disagreeing with you, but to say that you said, oh, it takes one person to stand up. They're standing up and getting pushed back out of the caucus.
Yeah.
Getting pushed back down. Like it happens all the time. It's not like only takes one person. They're getting thrown out of caucus.
Yeah.
Multiple one persons.
At this point, the only ones who are in this all together are the members of the bureaucracy and the members of the provincial and the federal governments and the premiers and the prime ministers, who are all in this together and in danger of being turfed out en masse. So they're all hanging together. They're afraid of the people at this point.
No shit. Finally, what a nice change. Then you know what that's called democracy. When people are afraid of the government, that's called tyranny.
Agreed. I 100%.
They're not afraid at all. Why are we afraid of them? They're hassling us everywhere we go. There's cops hassling people, giving tickets out. We should not live this way. No one wants this, but some people are supporting it. They must be.
I would say that. How about I agree with you?
Move on. I'll just have a heart attack. Go. Let's keep going, Chuck, before I have a heart attack.
Yeah, I would argue that at least one person agrees with you, and he's left the country because of it. Guy,
that's not fair. I know this guy.
Guy Crittenden. He left Canada. He called it Chinata. Freedom Angela interviewed him last week from somewhere in Latin America, and he talked explicitly about getting the hell out of Dodge before everything goes to hell in a handbasket. It's a boring interview to begin with, but later on he says some interesting things, and I think he is a very common member of a class that knew how to travel at one time, and they left their country. They're Derek Bros from the Conscious Resistance movement.
Well, I assume that you're talking about Mexicans, Chuck, by his outfit.
Yeah,
his sombrero, rather, as they say.
No. Guy Crittenden is Canadian. He worked.
I know. We spoke to him. I was kidding. I was just making fun of his outfit, or his graphic, rather.
Yeah, he did. Angela does.
She did a good job with the
interesting
graphic.
stuff. Really, yeah, she did a good job with the graphic. She is the one who is responsible for our new look on the website. So, I definitely appreciate what she does.
Me too.
We'll
make fun of the graphic or him.
Yeah, but I'm mostly interested in the idea that so many people in this country, rather than fighting for their freedoms, are leaving. There's a big community of expatriates in Central America, in a variety of different places, and they're safe and they're happy, and they're not wearing masks, but
Even
they've left the
pastors.
country. Yeah,
No?
well,
But
pastors
it's,
feel they should stay.
I've not been there, but there's a reason why people are tied to the lands that they're at. There's a reason that you're still here. Don't you have a place to go in Costa Rica or something like that in a pinch if needed? Then
Yeah, to be fair, I got a friend with a mountaintop. He'll let me
yeah.
sit and sleep in the spare room, and I could probably get a job there. I mean, I do a lot of stuff online right now. I could probably find a nice, sensible place. If I stay there 5 years, I can become a citizen. I get full health care benefits. Uh,
So it seems like you've got a pretty good plan together for yourself, Chuck. All you like, so here we are. Then you're still here. Then,
yeah, I know. I'm stupid.
no, no, well, at least you've got a plan then. But a lot of people have plans like that, as you're mentioning. Like with Guy, he's the agorism they call it, I think now or something.
Agorism. Yes,
Yeah.
I believe that's explicitly what they call it.
Well, Derek Rose called it that, and
Yeah.
he's the. You know what? What can I say then? They're doing something that I'm jealous about, and most people will become more familiar with as time draws on.
I think it's something we need to all keep into account. It's not a choice I have consciously made. I want to fight for our freedoms. I want to stay here. I want to cover a really important story that's breaking as we speak.
Oh, totally, Chuck. I agree with that. But yet, that aside, you've got a place to stay in the mountains, so to get a job.
No, I accept that. On the lighter side of things, I note that people are coming out against the Ontario government. I know two pieces. This one, the Ontario government must immediately reopen outdoor spaces,
Mhm.
according to the Canadian Pediatric Society. This is an association of 3,000 doctors and subspecialists and residents and people who work with healthcare for children. They've explicitly called on the Ontario provincial government to immediately reopen outdoor recreation spaces. They're saying the
Where do they?
closures, huh?
Sorry, where are they? How many jails do they need to put the doctors in then?
I don't know. I think more
Mm,
than we've got prison places open. No
But
wonder
then,
they're letting the murderers
mm.
and the
Well,
thieves out.
they'll have to be let out then, or else we'll need more bullets to silence doctors who are talking about doctors and science behind this medicine. Then, unbelievable.
Absolutely. I can't believe, 3,000 members of a large association, Canadian medical health professionals.
Respectable
Yeah, saying
organization,
this is really stupid. You better stop it now.
dangerous, in fact.
Yeah. And what else do we got? We also have a healthy protest at Queen's Park. A whole bunch of health instructors
Yeah,
took over the grass outside the southern end of Queen's Park, and they did a 1.5 hour exercise regime. Uh, and they did it explicitly to protest against the Ontario government closing down public spaces during this pandemic. Uh, they say that again, they go with the pediatric surgeons, the pediatric healthcare professionals. They're saying not exercising, staying indoors, watching TV, working on the computer for too much. Absolutely the worst thing you could do if you
they
want to stay healthy.
they sound as stupid as pediatricians and doctors.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
We don't understand medicine any better than doctors and pediatricians.
Some of them have been working in the industry 20, 30 years.
Mhm.
They all look massively fit. The guy I interviewed, knowledgeable and intelligent, and he looked like he could break me in two like I was a twig.
Hey,
Very fit.
Chuck, I mean that guy, but that are you? Is that that guy with? I think I called. He's got this like this afro thing. He's a big dude.
Now,
He's
he is a
on
big dude, but he had a hair like me,
a
kind
different
of a
guy.
brown hair
Different
guy.
guy.
Very knowledgeable,
Yeah.
very intelligent. But again, another example, and there were like 100 people in this class over Queen's Park.
That's
Knowledgeable,
tons.
intelligent, doing things that the police disapprove of.
You know, remind me of Chuck. To be honest, it reminded me of say Karate Kid movies where they had or any kung fu movies where they had an army of people like oh ha 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 kind of thing.
Yeah.
They were so well organized and dangerous. I thought they were Black Lives Matter for a moment.
Yeah. Ooh, that's catty.
Mhm. But they didn't
But
look well.
I think it was
They didn't
healthy.
look very well. They were the ones paying to be there as opposed to being paid to be there.
Yeah, no, how about I agree with you? If you go into the video, and it's available here. You can. That's weird. I wonder why it's not working. Uh, Go into the video, and the person speaking will talk about how to get a hold of them, and how to meet this group, and go out and get some killer workouts. They're doing this 2 3 times a week, and they should be back next Saturday.
Mm. I was surprised by that being there. I was happy as well then.
Yeah,
Finally, people are coming out and standing up for themselves.
absolutely. I think this is a wild universe. I would argue that there are also another 3 or 4 stories, all relating to food prices, the lack of people to fill the jobs that are opening up, and the supply chain shortages currently hidden by the lockdowns, and plaguing the retail and the wholesale industries in Canada. And to that, I reference the May 10th, 2021 post. Supply chain shortages currently hidden by lockdowns and stay-at-home orders could erupt during the summer. And my lead into this story is just a list of things that are undergoing shortages now. I know that there's
Oh,
computer
oh my God. I
chips.
hope we don't run out of Rubik's Cubes, though.
Computer chips, auto parts, lumber, steel, precious metals that are used to make computer chips for
Right.
auto parts, bicycles, gasoline, chicken. There's a shortage of chicken. There's a shortage of ketchup and condiments.
Oh, no.
Uh, all these things are happening, and most of this has been hidden because of the lockdown. We're not allowed to buy as much, and this is going to get worse as the summer moves along. And all I did was just list. I think I put in 4 or 5 articles in there, recent articles, like the March 30th Global News Post. From furniture to toilet paper, Canadians warned of shortages, price hikes amid trade logjams.
Sounds
And
familiar.
yeah, it's really hard to get lots of things. CBC, bless their soul, uh, their big post about this topic is focused on the affluent. Evidently, chlorine for backyard swimming pools and hot tubs is almost impossible to get.
Oh
Uh,
my God. Are the rich and affluent going to be all right then? You know what? I was swimming pool too, and I don't see any problems here. Why is this a story? You know, the irony being, Chuck, is that the CBC will require more toilet paper for the news articles than the rest of us will.
no, I agree. I agree 100%. Maybe the biggest problem will be energy. There's the May 10th, 2021 Financial Post story. Pipeline hack highlights vulnerability of North America's stretched energy infrastructure. Evidently, hackers seeking ransom broke into a privately owned pipeline system, forcing the company to shut down one of the United States' major arteries for fuel delivery. Uh, it's something that pumped 2.5 million barrels per
Yeah.
day of refined products. I also think that possible shutdown of Line 5, the big pipeline that carries the oil from Alberta to Quebec and Ontario, goes through, I believe it's Michigan, someplace in the States, and the Michigan
It was
governor.
controversial in the past, I believe, too. No?
Yeah, it is. The Michigan governor wants to
Yeah.
wants to shut it down. So I don't know. Maybe Ontario and Quebec are going to need to get their gasoline and their heating oil from somewhere else. Maybe Venezuela. Who knows?
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun, but I'd rather go there to get my heating oil if you want the truth, you
Yeah.
know? Or at least
Yeah. You go.
no, I have nothing to say, Chuck. Please continue.
Punchline of this piece is that 72% of the Canadian company supply chains surveyed by something called the Supply Chain Canada. It's an association of business people who focus on supply chains, evidently. 72% of the company's supply chains are being disrupted by COVID-19 for a variety of reasons. And some of those reasons are included in the story.
But you know what the problem? Sorry to cut you off, Chuck. Here, the problem being is that these reasons are so vague and dispersed that it doesn't matter what they are. You know, Oh, I'm sick. What's the problem? COVID? I don't have it, but I heard about it. Oh shit. We'll have someone fill your spot then. It's just a great built-in excuse for everything. It puts
Absolutely.
everything on hold. I don't. When I was in school, I didn't do a paper until like the morning that it was due, kind of thing.
Yep.
And I get an extension, like because people are lazy and they're careless. They don't give a shit on false deadlines here. They'll push it as long as they can. Corporations rely on that kind of stuff because they need the money then. But the supply chain though is that when I was working in the conference industry, then we had an event, the electronic supply chain then, and
Hmm.
it tied in very closely with the just-in-time delivery stuff for the auto industry because they're
Okay.
all such a tight supply chain line. Then, if the butterfly wings in Japan, kind of story, and it's a real deal though too.
I would say it all is really tight and tied together. I note that what was it? Good gosh. Further down here, evidently, everything here is tied together by a labor shortage. In Canada, in particular, you get more money through CERB than you get at a
To
basic
journalism.
entry level job. Yeah, from
For
journalism, you get
journalism.
more money from CERB than you get from journalism.
I took the wrong career path then. Where's my guidance counselor for Christ's sake? Like,
This started about a month ago in Canada. I note the April 16th, 2021 Global News Post. Quebec businesses struggle to hire employees due to labor shortage. I also note there in the States, they've had the same problem. And for that, I note the May 10th, 2021 Yahoo News Post. Tyson Foods, they're the guys with the shortages of chicken. They say that a labor shortage has hit their poultry and lift sales, and it's starting to impact on their beef distribution.
those lazy chickens, unbelievable.
Yes. And the obvious question is, how bad will things get soon?
Well,
I think by the end of the summer we'll know.
well, I'd like to suggest that Keynesian economics is failing, and the proof being this, a piling proof of it is that then the voodoo economics kind of garbage. That oh well, the money is made, so they'll pay people to work to make the money. Blah blah blah. It just is not true. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
People are self-interested then.
I find Keynesian economics to be very uh, centrally structured, and I don't think centrally structured organism supply chains. I don't think they function very well. People
Well,
need to work.
well, I guess we'll find out, right? As you said, at the end of the summer, Chuck.
By the
Like,
end of the summer, we'll have big shortages of ketchup.
oh, please, Chuck, don't say it's true. But the problem being is not ketchup; it's the actual food.
Yeah, the actual food, we're going to have to start worrying about that.
And I'll even go as far as to call hot dogs actual food.
Yeah, I would say that's true.
It's
I do remember.
it's a lack of nutrition shortage that we're going through.
Yeah, I do think that I've seen other stories about starvation due to a breakdown of supply chains, particularly in Africa and in portions of Asia. So it's absolutely a serious problem.
Oh, 100% correct. Like
Yeah.
this is simple economics. Call it Keynesian what you want, but people pay to do things and get paid for things. It's just we have to do the math then.
No, I agree. As a subtext of that post, I see the why is the mainstream media suddenly freaking out about the horrifying inflation that is ahead
Yes.
of us? To that's pretty straightforward. Nobody wants to work unless they get lots of money. Rise in average wages causes inflation. Shortages of products cause the price for products to rise. That creates a lot of inflation. And the media is finally kicking into this. I know people who
Oh.
were saying this sort of thing months and months ago,
But
and now it's starting to happen.
just check the problem is people in the media have no clue about this. They don't have any money problems then. For real.
Absolutely.
People who
Well,
in
they're having trouble getting chlorine for their pools, Al.
Oh, exactly. What about apples for their precious brunches that may have that on Saturday mornings or what have you? The problem is it's truly more of proof of a division of a class structure and struggle that we have between us, for real.
I would say that's true. Here's the piece about world food prices soaring in April, suggesting that there might be food shortages in the near future, like you and I talked about just a little bit earlier. So we are attempting to cover this. Is like really difficult to get at the macro level.
My suggestion in this story then, Chuck, is that their food shortages are more on balance sheet food shortages then, not
Yes.
actual food shortages.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think a lot of food's going bad. A lot of food's going weird. Um, I would also argue that my very favorite story uh, from last week is the first one we posted after we did the show last Monday. Why isn't everyone in Florida dead or in the hospital?
I just assumed they would be, given how lax they are.
They've opened up everything. Everybody is socializing on the beach. Most of life is back to normal, and nobody's dying. As a matter of fact, as I understand this, uh, Florida has the lowest cases of COVID in the country.
Them and there's other states. I think Arizona as well. Then who had very lax restrictions on this lockdown and that stuff.
Yeah,
Those are the ones that tend to have like the fewest deaths related to COVID. Then depending on the testing they ran. But
I would tend to agree.
well,
Uh,
then it's funny. Then the media doesn't agree that, and they want to prove that we need to be locked down for reasons I will never understand.
at this point, I think the media just wants to work from home. They don't want to go outside anymore.
They don't, well, just keep paying my six-figure salary, and I'll just keep doing whatever you want. At least I can just write for a living instead of what I think you'd have to do to pay me that kind of salary for your bullshit.
Uh, I would tend to agree, and I think those are all of our stories this week on Freedom Forum News. I have one big piece of information on Freedom Forum News. Starting May 18th, I will be hosting a 1.5 hour show every Tuesday at 12:30 on that channel TV. I believe it's on Bell in Quebec and Ontario and on the East Coast and throughout most of the Caribbean. And my job will be to interview some of the people who are actually in the alternative media, going out in public and contributing interesting stories. And I want to find out how they do their job, what makes them tick, and what they feel are the most important news stories coming up during the week. So I hope everybody here will join me. I know Al will be here throwing tomatoes at me from the cheap seats.
You know what, Chuck? I'll drink a lot, and we'll see what I throw you then. That's a very big deal, though, Chuck. Why is it a big? We and Chuck went to the meetings to just talk about the channel with the people. They're good guys. Or girls rather. And why is this a big deal in your mind, then, Chuck?
Ivy Reese and Hugh Riley give us access to actual cable TV. It gives us an opportunity to get outside of the purview of the Liberals' proposed Bill C-10, which will heavily regulate the internet. And it gives us the opportunity to gain a lot of new readers, a lot of new viewers in Quebec and in Ontario and throughout the world. Yeah.
Caribbean, for example.
And we're also going to have 2 minutes worth of commercial time on each show, and the idea is quite explicitly we will make some money off it.
Let's pretend I have a tie, and my job is to have enough money to buy food, and there was some airtime. What do you think I should do then, Chuck?
I think you should sell advertising.
Oh, do you have a platform where I can start selling this with blue microphones and beautiful ties then, Chuck? Seriously, if we can only get this working for advertising, this whole thing will fit together. The reason is that it has to fit together economically as well as activism-wise for this whole thing to work. They can't.
I agree. We got to make some money. If we starve, we can't tell any more good stories.
People, by the way, Chuck, at the Vaughn event, I was suggesting, I said, oh, freedom. I meant to say who we were, blah blah, what I do, and I said, I said, independent media, it pays half what you think, and it's cost twice as much.
Yeah.
And it's just unbelievably tricky. Support local media, not even us, anyone, just do it. It's so important the way that people don't understand. They'll miss us. They'll be only the scribes at the feet of the king telling you the stories.
No, how about I agree 100%. I think it's really important to be able to make a living off what we're doing. I mean, the people we're competing against have, what do they got? They got $1 billion a year budgets. They have nice homes. They have swimming pools that need chlorine. To that end, I want to remind everyone before we start selling the commercials, this is our source of income. Help fund our growth.
How, Chuck? The problem is we're so crappy at asking or getting money, if not asking for it. We have to. Should we have a how to help us out? Should I just go on the street and beg for money to sign on Freedom Forum News?
I would suggest coming here. I would suggest pointing your telephone, your cell phone to the QR code. That'll bring up a program that'll allow you to contribute. I would say if you're more old-fashioned, give an amount and click in your contact information and your Visa card and what you need. And if you want, my email is down here, mrchuckblack@gmail.com, and you can send us an Interact email transfer. So there are options. We just haven't been pushing it.
I feel my concern, Chuck, is that we just back in the day, Chuck, we said this is years ago that it's not that people don't want to pay us. We just haven't. We just don't. They don't know what to pay us. Then they love what we do, but we don't know what to pay us. Then so we have to
Mhm.
find out ways to make it easier for them to pay us. And that's all. That's my commentary on that and my beg. But anyway, it's a hard job, and we're trying the best we can to get the truth out there for real.
Absolutely. To that end, I would encourage everybody here to remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Help get our message out. If you like our message, contribute your message. Will help to get that out as well. And gosh, are we missing anything, Al? Did we do everything right this week?
No, never. But I'm glad we're here all the time to keep talking about what we talk about, and glad people are here to listen to it for real.
And me too. And with that said and done, this is last week today for May 10th, 2021. I am Chuck Black. I'm with Al Calder. We enjoyed doing this. We hope you enjoyed watching it.